Hey folks, Paul Abernathy here. Welcome to another mobile Let's Ask Paul podcast, brought to you by Electrical Code Academy Incorporated. The industry's we have so much stuff that we can offer in our program that teaches people the NEC, and we're constantly adding stuff, embedding videos where we need to. A lot of stuff that programs just can't teach that I like to. The reason I like to do Wednesday night sessions. That's why I like students to come. We can ask questions. We can cover those topics. If I don't know the answer, which is a rarity, not a know-it-all, but if I don't know the answer, I will get you the answer, or I will bring it to the next session. But that's the whole focus. It's an ongoing. You're not required to come to Wednesday nights if you're a student. It's simply a bonus benefit. If you want to come and join us, we'd love to have you on Wednesday nights. It's available to those that are Fast Trax Tube subscribers. You can join. There's a link on the website. That's a cheap way to get into the Wednesday nights. Or if you're a student, then you'll see the information on how to join the Wednesday nights in your console. Okay? So, anyway, enough of that. So a little bit of a thing I wanted to clarify with the two new programs that we have that people are aware of, called our Basic and our Enhanced program. When you get into that program, or when you go into that program, you will notice that the Basic and Enhanced program are through our website. And you will notice that it starts out with letting you know about the Wednesday night. And if you're in the Enhanced program, one of the modules that you start out with will talk about video access over on Fast Trax Tube, and it'll give you instructions, right? So that's there, and so your course really doesn't start until you get to the third one, so you got to keep clicking next. Okay, I had a couple people ask about that, but we wanted to put the folders up front about the Wednesday night, and if you're in the Enhanced program, we wanted to make sure we put something up there about the video access. Okay, we wanted to get to the way first because people ask about that. Okay, so other than that, it's important for people to know that when you get into our program, the Basic or the Enhanced are the best options you have. We do have the Plus and the Black, and they're more expensive, but they're limited access for a year. You have less restrictions on our Basic and our Enhanced. It's the best value, but you have to remember when people think that you're going to get an email or something to activate it. That is not the case with the Basic and the Enhanced. You log right in. Once you pay, you create your username and password and everything. Then you can go to your profile. Or on our page, you got this thing called My Account. There's a link that says My Account. You can log in, but make sure you set up your username and password when you register or you purchase, okay? Don't skip anything. And then you can just log right in. It's not a big deal. And you can start studying, right away. You don't have to wait for anything. So that's pretty cool. Whereas the Black and the Plus, you got to wait. It can take up to 5 business days to get you in the console set up and everything like that. So that's the big difference between the two. Okay. And again, if you're somebody learning the NEC, there is no better program, because a lot of exam prep only courses only focus on exam prep. Ours kind of melds the two, and it's just code knowledge, plus it's intermixed with exam prep. Stuff that you just need to know for an exam. And then, of course, we intermix calculations that you may need for an exam. So it's kind of all that stuff is covered in our program. But, of course, if you feel something's not covered, like motors, for example, then motors, we do a separate module just for motors. It's a video. But we cover different things. And again, that's what Wednesday night's for, is to kind of cover any overlapping stuff that we want to make sure that you're aware of, like transformers and stuff like that. Got questions, you need to bring them. Anything that confuses you, you need to bring them. And we'll do our best to dissect that out for you. All right, so that's enough of that. I just want to get that update out there for folks. So today I'm talking about a question that was kind of asked about GFCI Protection. And as y'all know, in the 2023 NEC, we have a lot of expansion of GFCI Protection. You've got the expansion into 10.8D now for specific appliances, and we've got this list that's going to now be introducing ranges and ovens and microwaves and cooktops and all of this stuff that's now going to be required to be GFCI protected. Of course, we also have a significant change that's going to require all 125 volt through 250 volt receptacles located in a kitchen, not just those serving the countertop, and not just those within 6 feet of the top inside edge of the sink. All of those receptacles now in a kitchen have to be GFCI protected. Okay, so that's kind of where we're expanding to, like it or not. That's what you're going to have to deal with in the 2023 NEC. But you also have a list of appliances in 422.5, which 422 is appliances, for those that didn't know that article. And you should, if you're a Fast Track student, you should be doing flashcards, creating your own flashcards for every major article, just so you get fluent on these things. And so you have a list of things that are in 422.5, and it explains that they have to be, GFCI protected, and that's not residential, that's commercial or residential. That's full coverage, like dishwashers is over there. It doesn't matter whether it's a residential dishwasher or commercial dishwasher. You get me? Now, a couple cycles ago, dishwashers was under 210.8D. Well, that was removed, and then it created what's called a placeholder, and to send you to 422.5. And then, of course, in 2023, now we have the list again, that's there. And we've added to the list, obviously, in 210.8D. We've added to that list. I don't necessarily agree with all those things, because I don't know the last time I heard that somebody got shocked and electrocuted from a properly wired range. Okay? And for all those out there that say, oh, GFCI is always associated with water, and I got to actually get in debates on this on TikTok. People like to debate me, I guess, but if it was all about water, and that's what people say, then why would it now be on ranges and cooktops and microwaves? Think about it, folks. So it just so happens that a lot of places that are associated with water, within certain distance of a sink, things like that, will dictate GFCI protection. I get it. But that's not the main driving force behind it. Like an unfinished basement, people are like, oh, well, it's because it could flood. No, that's not the reason. Now, people will argue that it's, because it's a concrete floor and all that. It's not even really the evolved reason, okay? But it still could happen. So it makes, so anyway, the point is, and people hate when I say this, but look, you can debate me because you want to pound your chest. But the reality is, GFCI requirements for us as electricians, and that's what I focus on. Okay, if you want to go historically back and learn the history of it, that's your thing. For me, I tell people, GFCI is where the code tells us we have to install it. GFCI is where the manufacturer tells us we have to install it on their product, right? Because a manufacturer can be more restrictive, but it can't be less restrictive. Okay, it can't go below the NEC, but it can obviously be more restrictive. Okay, so if you think about that, the question was asked is, does a tankless water heater, whether it's in a basement, whatever, does it require GFCI protection? And the answer to that is no, because I have never seen a tankless water heater. I'm not going to say never's never, because you'll have somebody that'll post, oh, well, I've seen a small one in a commercial that was cord and plug. Okay, well, if the tankless water heater has a listing for it to be cord and plug connected, okay, right? But in reality, and of course, if it's a receptacle and it's 210.8A or 210.8B location, that if it's a receptacle, then it's going to require GFCI protection if it's in one of the locations that's in that list, right? But we're talking hardwired when it comes to this tankless water heater, then it's, again, not required to be GFCI protected anywhere, unless it is one of those appliances that's listed in 210.8D or 422.5. And it is not, by the way. It is not. But don't give them any thoughts, because, you never know. But see, the thing that people's mind starts to go to is like, well, isn't there water circulating in it? And I'm like, yeah, it is, but why is that an issue? Because it was never fully 100% about it. They say, well, wait a minute. What about 680 in swimming pools? Isn't that about the water? Okay, that's the thing. You have to take the general requirements in chapters 1 through 4, and they will supplement and modify things that are in chapter 6, for example, which is 680, which is swimming pools. And swimming pools, which is code panel 17, for example, has our own separate code panel, has our own separate rules, requirements, things that we do. Don't try to correlate the two and say that, the reason we do this is because purely water. No. When it comes to pools, and we're really trying to establish differences of potential. And the best way to detect that is with a GFCI device, because if you create an equipotential plane, right, and you have differences of potential, then a GFCI device is designed to pick up where current's going out and coming back. If it's not going through the toroidal coil, then it creates an imbalance, and then that causes the GFCI to function. The best logical protection that we have for differences of potential in that scenario is GFCIs. And that's why they're prolific, okay, in 680. So I'm getting a little off track. But so for the water heater scenario, I mean, it's also why you see nothing in the code that says that if we have a traditional water heater, storage tank type water heater, we're not going to GFCI protect that. And they say, but it's in contact with water. So what? It's not required in the code. If you want to do that and you want to put your water heater on, you can do that. Remember, you can go above code if you want. If you want to do something just because you feel warm and fuzzy about it, then you do that. I doubt you're going to do that because of the sheer number of people that moan and groan about putting these things on circuits anyway. I doubt very many people are going to voluntarily do that. I would probably doubt that's going to happen. But if you want to, you do you, boo, and do what you got to do. But it's not a requirement to do that. Now, some people have said, well, what if it's a gas water heater with forced air and you have to put a receptacle there? Well, that should be a no-brainer, because everybody started argument. Paul, it's a water heater. It's got to have GFCI. Dude, you lose sight in your argument. That's a receptacle that is installed there to facilitate the forced air. Forget about the water heater. It's the receptacle that's in a specific location that may require GFCI. You still got to follow the rules in 210.8 A and B. You still have to follow those rules if it's a receptacle. That's what A and B of 210.8 deals with. That is its bailiwick, baby. That's what it's focused on, receptacles. It's not until we get outside of A and B that we start focusing on things like outlets, which could be, or specific appliances, right? So when we say outlet, we're talking about a point in the system where you can take power from it. So it could be, for example, that appliance that's actually the circuits run to a junction box right next to the appliance, and then it comes out of that junction box, which is an outlet, and it direct wires to the appliance. We shorten this by giving you a list of appliances and just makes it easy, no brainer. And okay, this is a dishwasher. That circuit has to be protected by GFCI. I mean, that's how we do it. So there is some rhyme and reason why the NEC flows the way it flows, even though people want to, people moan and groan about it. Trust me, these are not just everyday people that submit public inputs, right? You don't see Martha Stewart submitting a public input, folks, right? These are electrical people who submit public inputs, who are in the field, who, sometimes they're not really good public inputs, they're frivolous, and they don't make it in the code. I get it. But at least they're engaged people. For all the people out there that want to argue about things, have you submitted anything to the code? Have you ever been a part of the code development process? If you haven't, then you really can't say much, really. And I'm not being disrespectful. You really can't say much if you're not part of the system. Then you don't understand why things get rejected or why things get passed, right? And I'm here to try to help you understand that. But we all have to be engaged in it. And so to answer that question with the GFCIs, it's hardwired, and it's not in those lists. So your tankless water heater would not be required. And also, be honest with you, a lot of these tankless water heaters will use 2 breakers, 2 double pole breakers, depending on the size. Whole house tankless can be quite large, that type of thing. So it becomes not real practical to do that. But again, somebody could submit a public input to get that changed. I'm sure the GFCI folks would love that because they are quite expensive. Hey, I'm not arguing that manufacturers don't have influence. I'm just saying, right now, not practical to do so. But I also don't believe it. Ranges, ovens, cooking tops, and all those things are really something that should be GFCI protected right now, in my belief. And that is why Code Panel 17 did not accept them for the 422.5. We did not accept that expansion. Now, it might change, but right now we rejected that because there is some compatibility issues. But obviously, Code Panel 2 didn't agree because they expanded everything. So, at the end of the day, we'll see where it shakes out. We haven't voted yet. And you all will get a second crack at it when the public comments come out in a couple months. So relax. It's an ongoing, evolving process. You think about it, the code is a beautiful thing. It is a melding of many minds. And no, it is not overrun by manufacturers. Please stop thinking that. I know people want to say that. That's really not the case. And I can explain why that's the case if anybody's interested. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. Stay safe. God bless. And we will catch you on the next episode of Let's Ask Paul Mobile. Peace out.